In use callback, we are going to memorize the function. So why is this happening? Because we were using react.memo. Return a comma b. See here, I keep adding new items. Refresh, just. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel KnowledgeKeen, and this is your friend Wasim. And today, a new day, a new video we are going to start on use callback. Please bear with me. This is going to be slightly more complicated than use memo and memo because we are going to deal with functions. In use memo, you know that we used to memorize the values. In memo, we used to memorize the components, and in use callback, we are going to memorize the functions. Which functions? We are going to see it quickly in some example. So without any wasting any time, let's dive into the concept. If you've not seen our previous video, the memo, react.memo wala video, I would request you to please click on the I button. Okay, I have shared a link with you there. You can click on it and see that concept, because in that concept, I have tried and shared the interesting animation with you there. Okay, that animation will help you understand how the parent and child component used to load. If you see in this particular animation, parent and child components are getting re-rendered. Okay, and in the next slide itself, you can say the child component is not re-rendering, but my parent component is getting re-rendered. So why is this happening? Because we were using react.memo, right? Because we were passing some properties to the child component, and whenever the properties were getting changed, the component should re-render according to the concept, correct? So use callback also is similar. So let's create a simple example for it. But before we create an example, let me quickly show you why it is different. In plain JavaScript, we are now not talking. So this was the previous example that we created for memo. But let me clear this out and create a simple sum function. Okay. We all know how our sum function works. Function sum. Oops. Okay, so here I'm just doing nothing but return a comma b, and it just has to return a plus b, not blur, a plus b. So this was a simple function that we created. Let me create const sum 1 equal to sum and const sum2 equal to sum. So I created two variables, basically just holding the values of my function. If I just see sum1, it's simple, it's returning a comma b, arrow function, a plus b. The sum2 is also doing the same thing. But if you see, if I just do this, it gives me false. Why? Okay, if you see, both the values are same. Oops, both the values are absolutely same, but still it is returning false. If you even check with like sum1 triple equal to sum2, it's again false. Sum1 double equal to or triple equal to sum1, that is true, because this is the same thing. In functions in JavaScript, okay, if you have seen my previous JavaScript videos, then there we explained functions. So whenever we create a function, it is pointed to, let's say, that one location. Okay, and here in our example, whenever we are creating a function, it is never same. Even though you are pointing to the same function, both the variables are never going to be the same. Based on this principle, our use callback would work. We'll see how. So coming back to our React, okay, I hope you get this, that whenever even though you're creating the instance of the same function, they are not same. Okay, they are never gonna be same. We'll dive back to this in some time when we are coming back to our React example. So let me, as we usually do, go back to my component. Let's create a under my pages callback example. Here again, I'm going to create parent.js and child.js. So I have two components, const parent h4 parent component, export default parent, copy, paste, and child component. And under parent component, I'll simply load my child. Correct? And that is coming from my same callback folder. Now I'll go to my app. I don't have this parent. That was for our memo example. I'll remove this quickly. We are just going to load a parent component. That is from a callback example. That's absolutely correct. If we go here, we have parent and child component. So let's create an example. Simple. Let's create some dynamic to-do list or some heroes list. Okay, that I will create in my child component. So just to bifurcate that this is my parent and this is my child, I'll quickly add a slash. Yep, that's a line. Absolutely okay. Let me quickly create one to-do list. Okay, and whenever I click on the to-do list, okay, I'll just add a new to-do to my list, but we are not going to take any inputs. It is going to be a simple dynamic list. We know how to do that. Let me quickly create use state snippet. I'll just say to-dos, set to-dos, use state. It's going to be an array, an empty array as of now. Let me just add item 1. That's fine. And I'm going to render to-dos dot map item of, let me just take index 2 before it starts throwing an error. Simple. It is going to be div for now. Oh, oops, let's render it in h5 and my item, close my h5. The key would be index. That's a bad practice. We have seen this, why it is a bad practice. If you're not seen this, go to our map examples in React. You will see why we should not use index. But for now, just for the sake of doing it, we'll simply do this. Okay, and I will just quickly add a button. Let me say button, keep adding, add to-dos, add a new to-do. And on click, here I'm going to simply say set to-dos, and just keep adding item dollar to-dos dot length plus 1. If I click this, oops, I did something wrong. Set to-dos. Oh, it's not a function. What am I doing here? So it's going to be an array. Keep original to-do items, to-dos, and add just a new one. My bad. If you see here, I keep adding new items. Refresh, just, that's okay. It's a very simple example. If you don't know what we are doing, just slow this video down a bit and rewatch this part, so you'll understand what exactly we did there. Okay, this is working absolutely fine. There is no error. We don't have any kind of error. If you again click this, it's absolutely fine. We have so many items. Okay, this function is absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about here. No components re-rendering or any kind of stuff happening. If you just simply add a use effect, I'll just, so whenever something is changed, just log a console child component re-rendered. Okay, and I'll just simply say use effect. If parent is re-rendering, console.log my parent component re-rendered. Is anything happening? My child component and parent component are rendered. If I click, only my child component is re-rendering, parent component is not. The same thing, I'll just do a similar kind of example. We already, we love counters, so we'll add a simple counter. Set count equal to use state 0, and we'll just print our count. Okay, let me print the count here. Counter value is count, and also I'll add a button on click of which increase count value. Set count, original count value plus 1, but this is going to be using an arrow function. Absolutely perfect. Let me just quickly say it h5 so that it looks better. No error, nothing, everything looks fine. We have this, everything works perfect. But now let's add one small difficulty over here, that I don't want the logic of my to-dos anywhere in the child. So the child component should be controlled by my parent component. So whatever to-dos that I'm passing, basically that should be passed from my parent to the child. So all the to-dos should be present in my parent component. Perfect. So we'll simply do this. We'll remove the to-dos. We'll say that these to-dos are coming from my parent. Save. And here are my to-dos. Perfectly, absolutely fine. There is nothing to worry. And I'm just passing the to-dos here. Correct? And I'll for now, I'll just comment this out. We don't need an add button. Let's see if it is rendering, and this is rendering absolutely perfect, phenomenal. If I increase the value, my child component is re-rendering, which should not happen. So we learned this concept. We just have to say memo, import it from React and wrap it to the child component, because I'm not changing anything to my child. So now if I just increase the counter, only my parent component is getting re-rendered. Child component is absolutely not affected, which is a perfect example of our React.memo. But we are not learning React.memo. We are learning useCallback. So what we simply do, we'll keep this button as it is, right? And we don't need it here. We'll just simply remove this. We'll say we have a handle to-do button, something. Handle to do, and I'll just simply add const handle to do. This is a function. Now again, I'll just say add to do something. So this function is also coming from my parent. I'll just add this as a callback function. Now this is a value. This is a callback function, because we are not passing the function, we are passing a callback. That's a function. Simple. And here, let's say that I'll just simply take item, set to-dos, keep, you know how to write a spread operators, keep all the previous items as it is, and in the end add the new item. So that would be my item. Simple. So every time when we add a new thing, it will just keep all the originals one as it is, and it will just push at the very end. At the very end, it will just add a new item. Everything looks smooth. Handle to do works smooth, and we just need to call this add to do, and we'll just simply say here item dollar and to do's dot length plus 1. So it will just say item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Everything is just fine. We added simple to-dos, we are passing it to the child. We are adding a callback, we are just passing it to the child. And here we just have a button clicking which will just say, we'll just call back to the parent and say, just add this to-do in the original list, and my child gets re-rendered. But we have a memo unnecessarily. Please don't do this re-render if my child is if there is nothing changed in the child, that is absolutely fine. We have this memo here again. So even if I increase the count, I'm not changing anything to my to-dos because the button is in the child component, right? And this click button, the increment counter, is in the parent. So the count has nothing to do with the child. So memo will simply say, do not re-render child. Let's see what happens. I quickly do a refresh. So my child component is re-rendered. My parent component is re-rendered. I'll simply clear it out. I added to do. So now item 1 was there. Item 2 we added. Child component re-rendered. Parent component re-rendered. React memo, parent child combination, props, callbacks, everything is working absolutely perfect. If I just simply say increase the count value, we have said, again I'm coming back to the same topic. React.memo is already there. Just for clarification, memo is already there. So it should not re-render my child. But if I click this, something different happened. My child is getting re-rendered again. Let me quickly do that again. Clear it out. Child component is re-rendered. So what is the meaning of memo? Why it is not happening? What went wrong? Did we do something wrong? Absolutely not. We have not done anything wrong. Coming back to our JavaScript example. If you remember this, sum1 equal to sum, oops. We created a similar kind of a function. What am I doing? We created a similar kind of a function, right? But every time the function values, even though like my sum1, come on, let me declare sum1, let me declare sum2, every time, okay, sum1 is not equal to sum2, that is false. So every re-render, you remember, the callback function has a new value. It is pointing to the same function but has a new value. So the previous value and the new value will never be the same. Hence, this one, the parent component, the to-do callback function will never be the same. That's the reason it is re-rendering the child component again and again. I'm going up pretty slow here so that you can understand. Please watch this very carefully, how we are doing this callbacks, okay, and why this callback is allowing the child to continuously re-render again and again. To avoid this, we have this use callback, okay. So that function points to the same location. Both the function has the same value. Every time, if here in the JavaScript example, sum1 is equal to sum2 is false, but using use callback, both this sum1 and sum2 would be similar. Just hypothetically, theoretically, sum1 and sum2 will be true, okay, if we equalating it in React. So every time whenever my function is re-rendered, my callback would point to the same value, and hence my child component is not re-rendered. I hope you are able to understand this. So how to do this? Again, you know how we wrote use memo, okay. Simply write use callback, okay, function, and within this we have the parenthesis and this, similar to your use effect, similar to your use memo, but this whole thing will be writing here use callback, correct. This is my whole anonymous function, the first function, the first parameter, comma, curly empty brackets, your square brackets, and within this it should only and only get called if my to-dos change, correct. I hope this makes some sense for you. So this is my first parameter and this is my second dependency parameter. If I just do a refresh, child component, parent component are re-rendered. That's absolutely correct. If I add a new to-do item, child component should re-render because now we change the number of to-dos. The parameter is changed. The child component should re-render. But let me clear this out. If I increment the count value, child component is not re-rendering. So this is how use callback works, okay. And for memorization sake or for improving your performance kind of a sake, I know you are definitely going to do this, that you're going to render child components, and within child components you're going to write hundreds of callbacks. But every time you write a callback, you should if you're re-rendering it, if you're again doing something in the parent and in the child, you should use this use callback to improve the performance. Okay, it memoizes the callback function. Okay, here basically the name itself says callback, use callback, so it memoizes a callback function. I hope this example made some sense to you. I know this was a bit lengthier one to explain this. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs because that helps. Please subscribe, that helps a lot, and keep watching our videos because you'll like it and we'll love to explain it. Thank you. Keep subscribing, keep supporting.